Hello, my name is Jim Miller and I'm Operations Manager at English Gardens of Clinton Township. Thank you for joining me today as we discuss shade gardening. When I think of a shade garden, I think of those areas in the yard that have less than 3 hours of sun a day. I also think of them as being one of those areas in the yard to sit back, cool down a bit, relax, and enjoy maybe a bird flying by. You may be thinking of it in terms of, how can I make the front yard of my north-facing house look beautiful? Or maybe that spot behind the garage that seems to be nothing will grow there but weeds. I have a few ideas that can help you out. So let's talk about preparing the site for planting. The majority of the plants that you find in shade gardens have adapted to areas that have lots of compost due to the leaves falling to the ground and creating a thick layer of rich soil. In order to emulate that, I suggest that you use 2 to 3 inches of English Garden soil conditioner over the entire area that you're going to plant. This can also be used at the same time when you actually plant the plant, following the directions on our planting guide. All right, now that you have your soil prepared, let's talk plants. This Japanese maple is a wonderful plant for the shade. What you will find that the colors that you choose on this Japanese maple, this is a blood good Japanese maple, by the way, this plant will grow to be about 15 feet tall and will create an excellent backdrop to the garden. You may find that the color is not as intense when you plant this tree in the shade, but it still does give you some excellent color. Another plant that has excellent shade tolerance is the yew. This is a Hicks yew. It has a tendency to grow square and upright. If you don't like square shapes, you can get the dense yew, which grows round, or you could get a capitata yew, which grows into a conical shape. One of the wonderful things about this plant is that it is drought tolerant, can handle a wide range of soils, and is reliably green all year round. Another gardener's favorite is the Japanese Caria. The Japanese Caria will have yellow flowers, is easily trimmed, can grow to be about 4 to 6 feet tall, and loaded with yellow flowers in the summertime. A very rewarding plant for those shady gardens. This plant, the Kodiak Honeysuckle, is a dwarf blooming honeysuckle bush. It blooms every summer with yellow flowers that are highly fragrant. It adds a touch of color to the garden, can be easily maintained at 4 to 5 feet tall. Definitely a must for any shade garden. One of my favorite plants for the garden is the Leaf Hydrangea. Leaf Hydrangeas is one of the few hydrangeas that truly thrives in the shade. One of its best features, the flowers. 12 inches long, filled with beautiful white flowers along a panicle stem. Perennials are those plants that you plant one time and they come back every year. There are a lot of choices in the perennial world, even for the shade. America's favorite perennial, probably in the majority of America's gardens, is the Hosta. There are over 3,000 varieties of hostas. I could not possibly go through all of them. But today I picked this variety called Sum and Substance. It's an extra large variety with these beautiful light green leaves. Look at how big this plant is going to get. You're going to probably have about 3 feet around, possibly even 4. One of the things that I like to do with this variety of hosta, or even the Patriot hosta, is to add Christmas lights inside, discreetly hidden underneath the leaves. At night, when the lights come on, the entire plant glows. One of the plants that I consider underutilized in the American garden is the goat's beard. Goat's beard is a native to North America. It grows 4 to 5 feet tall and has wonderful white blooms towering over the top in July. This plant does require a lot of water, so make that part of your consideration if choosing this plant. Ferns thrive in the shade. These few varieties that I've chosen here today offer some texture and color to your shade garden. The Japanese painted fern here at the front, it's a lower variety. It's going to grow to be about 6 to 12 inches tall. And it has the interesting colored foliage. Ostrich fern, this plant will be an aggressive spreader, but will certainly fill in that shade garden quite well. And then we have the autumn fern. Autumn fern also adds a color that's interesting to the garden. I often get asked if you can grow ornamental grass in the shade. Unfortunately, the majority of grass species do not thrive in the shade. However, this liriope will grow in the shade and give you purple flowers on a spire in the middle and also berries running along that spire in the fall. It's an excellent choice for the shade garden. Another plant that does well in the shade is the Japanese forest grass. This again has that brilliant yellow foliage which creates interest in the garden. This does have a tendency to stay nice and confined, so plant them in groupings of 5 or more to give you a dramatic effect. Coral bells is a group of plants that thrive in the shade. There are many varieties out there to choose from. This variety, Midnight Rose, is one of my favorites. One of my favorite plants, the Astilbe, can be grown in the sun or in the shade. This plant does require lots of moisture to thrive. Be aware of that if selecting this plant. As I was picking plants for today's presentation, these 3 plants were listed as my favorites. The Astilbe, combined with the Midnight Rose Coral Bell, and the Japanese Sunflower Grass. These 3 planted together make an excellent combination for beauty in your garden. Fosston Ferns add elegant charm to any patio or front porch. One of the ways to keep these plants as beautiful and healthy looking as this one right here is to simply use one of these saucers available at any English gardens. These plants love to be submerged in water 1 to 2 inches from the top of the pot. If you submerge the water to this point here, this plant will thrive. Just simply stick it in the saucer. And this is what it looks like when it's done. You can see that. You fill that up with water and keep that filled with water at all times. This way you can hang this up, or you can put it into a pot on each side of the front door. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Annuals offer summer-long color in the garden, and there are some choices for the shade as well. The dragon-wing begonia grows to be about 12 to 18 inches tall and offers you brilliant red, pink, or white flowers all summer long. The next on my list is the Browellia. The Browellia has these light purple flowers, or they can be white, depending on what you choose. They grow to be about 12 inches tall and very resistant to drought. The caladium doesn't offer you flowers, but certainly offers you interesting foliage and color. One of the great things about English Gardens is that all of our stores have experts on staff that can help you with your specific gardening needs. For a complete list of plants that you can use in the shade, click on the link below.